What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your man Kill.
And Dr. Ross.
We back in effect. We back for another day. We're doing our series on dating and different things like that. And wanted to kind of tap on where we had left off at when we were saying the 5 important things that you could talk about, or you should try to base who you're trying to find things about on. And one of them was family. Mm-hmm. And I want to touch on that because I think the hard part with that is, there may be a situation, and I can say for myself, before I had my daughter Naomi, I was like, 2, 3 kids, I'm good, and that's kind of what T wanted. So you may find yourself in a position where I don't personally think you should. I think if you want a family, because I don't know too many people who that changes, like that I want a family.
Yeah, that I want a family, yeah.
That I want children.
But maybe the number of children.
That number can change. So I don't think you should be like, I want 3 kids, he wants 3 kids, and that's one of the reasons we're getting married. Yeah. Because after having Naomi, I was like, I'm done. I'm out the game. I don't want no more kids. It was like just that. And you don't know, because it's an assumption. And I've heard people say, well, I raised my brothers and sisters, and I understand. But when it's your kid, it's just something different. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want any more kids. I have no urge after somebody learns to wipe their own butt to go through that whole learning process again. I don't want to wipe nobody else's butt ever again in life.
No potty training for you anymore.
So my thing is I would always be down, like if financially and we have room maybe to adopt. Or y'all know that I do after school programs with kids, and a lot of my kids are on foster care and different things like that, and bringing in one of those kids. But me personally, having a newborn, like, I had to shout out to my man Steve and Sheena. They just had their baby boy Sadiq last week, and they went to the hospital, and Naomi and T were holding the baby. They was like, "Kill you want?" I'm like, I don't even know what that. I'm not gonna get no baby. I don't remember none of that stuff.
You did, so you just wiped it out of your memory.
It's like Men in Black. I don't remember none of that stuff. So that's why I was saying some of those things can change.
Yeah.
But I think it is good to base off of, do you want children? Because I don't think, not saying that won't change either, but again, I just don't, I think that may stay the same, but just don't do the whole, he wants 4 kids, I want 4 kids, and that's one of the core reasons we're getting married. Because if he changed his mind, said he only wanted 2, we could dead this right now. Because all those things are just superficial. They're just ideas. It just is what I think I may want, and you don't know what you want.
It's true.
Until you get into that situation. So
I've always said I want like 5 kids.
You're crazy.
I know. Everybody's like, you just have your first one and you'll change your mind.
Anymore. Ain't nobody
I know, but I really like big families. So for me, I've kind of like modified that to like possibly 3 kids, because it's 4 of me and my, I have 3 older sisters, and I love like being a part of like.
This is the problem right here.
I love that.
This is where it all starts, because who cares how you grew up? I don't care.
But the thing.
I'm just being honest. I don't care how you grew
up.
If I'm dating you, I don't care that you had 3 older. I don't care about that. Right. That has nothing to do with nothing.
You're right.
Because the thing is with kids, it's so much. It's the financial.
Yeah, and I think
people
now.
Out here, like my man said, Love Jones, hopping, skipping, falling in love. People are out here hopping, skipping, and having these kids.
Yeah, can't
and they're not thinking about college.
Yeah.
And in 18 years, I don't even know how much.
You gotta pay tuition now.
Exactly. But I'm just saying the bigger picture of college, and that, each one of these kids it needs nurturing. It needs your attention, which takes more of your attention off your marriage, takes your attention off of yourself.
Well, I've always said that parenting is the hardest job you ever have in the world. It's the only job you have to be truly consistent at.
Totally disagree.
Really?
Totally disagree.
You don't think you're consistent?
The hardest job you will ever have is being married. Not having kids. Having kids is easy.
Really?
Because no matter what Naomi does.
I don't know.
No matter what Naomi does, she's always my baby.
Right, but
it
still,
doesn't matter what she does.
you have to be consistent.
Right? I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, that key right there is the difference. Now, somebody may say in their marriage, well, my husband or my wife can do this many things, and I'm riding with him, or I'm riding with him. But if he does that, it's a wrap. See, you don't say that with your kids. There is no cutoff.
I see what you're saying.
Truly that agape love that God wants us to have for one another. it's almost like in this society, we can only have it for our kids.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So that's why I said marriage is the hardest thing, because God wants you to have that agape love for your spouse, but it's like, well, how do you do that when your spouse is treating you bad, or your spouse is lying to you, your spouse is doing all these things to you? I mean, please, you know how many kids, like, I was at the pool the other day with Nay, and I was like, what's worse, the suburb kid who just ignores their parent? Like, this lady is like, Johnny. I mean, she must have called him, like, no lie, like 30 times. And Johnny is on the other side of the pool, like, whatever.
Oh,
so what's worse, the suburb kid who ignores his parents, or the hood kid who just be like, F you? What's worse?
Isn't it the same?
I guess so.
I think it's one and the same.
Maybe the same. But at the end of the day,
the suburb kid just doesn't say the words.
Right. But at the end of the day, the mom, like, isn't like ripping him up. Is no what I'm saying, all that to say is that there's no cutoff with your kids. But God forbid, let a husband ignore the wife from talking to him, or things like that is a cutoff. So that's why I'm just saying that it's harder to,
I guess so. I guess me not being
married,
a parent,
right?
I mean, I just to me, I just would assume that being a parent is so much harder because you have to be consistent, and then you're your child's first teacher, so you have to watch like everything that you do.
I mean, it's a hard job. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
But I just think it's the same with marriage. I mean, you have to be consistent, and that's where we fall short. We stop being consistent
in our marriages. That's a good point.
Right.
And because we are consistent, then that leads to frustration, which then turns into resentment. It's very hard, and the key to all that, I guess, would be communication.
It's communication,
especially about the family. That's probably something you need to keep checking in, because I've always said, okay, I wanted 5, and then I modified to 3, and then my husband was like, I think I might be all right with 1.
Right.
And so I started looking at him like, well, that might be a deal breaker, but we don't even have not one child. But I was just wow, that switched. Like, when did you decide that?
But the great thing about that is that, and we're talking about dating.
Yeah.
So we're talking about really getting to know
the person.
And we're saying these are the things that y'all should be talking about on the first date. You should be talking about, because remember, we were on some panel, we were doing something, and I was asking somebody, like, if I was dating, I have a lot of health issues. So on the first date, I would probably just be transparent. Like, look, I got fibromyalgia, I got sleep apnea. These are issues I have. And people were like, well, no, that's too much to know on the first date. And I'm like, well, when do you share that stuff? Yeah. Like, is that the third? I'm like, I want to get it out the way now, because you may not want to deal with
when you
may not want to deal with somebody who has a joint muscle disease.
Yeah.
You may just not want to deal with that person. So to me, it's kind of like, for me, I'll put that out on the first date.
Well, I think that would be great. I mean, because now you're allowing the other person to actually make a choice about the decision.
But people at the panel were like, nah, that's too early. Don't throw that heavy stuff on me on the first date. But I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Because then it becomes, well, now it's the 6th date. Now it's like, why didn't you tell me that?
And it almost feels like you're lying.
Exactly.
Yeah, it almost feels like you're
But that's the whole point that dating should be about. Let's put everything on the table. And I think we have to kind of break dating down too in different areas. Because you never know who's watching us. We can have somebody who's 18 watching us. We can have somebody who's 65 watching us. And dating changes
as you grow.
Yeah. When you're, I think, 30 plus, a lot of people who I know who are single, especially women, are saying, the next dude I call my man, I want that to eventually be my husband. So you're digging a little bit deeper at 30 plus than what you may be at 20.
At 20.
But at the end of the day, I still think even at 20, these are the conversations you still need to be having, because you're just getting to know each other.
Well, yeah.
You're wanting to become friends,
Well, a key point here, Kill, that we haven't really talked about is that you should know these things about yourself. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes we don't even know.
Right.
We don't know what we want. So then we get in relationships and we're dating people and we're trying to figure out what we want in the process. And that's when all the confusion begins. I mean, if you already have an idea about what you want for your life, not any ultimatums that you need to give anyone else, but what you want for your life, I think that's half the battle, because at least now you have the choice that if you don't want to be a weed smoker and dude smoke weed, and that's not for you. I don't care how cute he is, how fine he is. or what great job he has, because we know there are a lot of professionals who indulge in that. I don't care about that. If you know there's something you don't want for your life,
right? And
then let it go.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at those things
No,
at
not
an
at
early
all.
age. Because at the end
Not
of the
at
day,
all.
I think if the goal is that I'm just looking for, because I almost look at it like, what advice would I give Naomi about dating? And for me, my only prayer for Naomi is that I want her to date people, not have sex with people.
That's a
Get
difference.
to know people. Get to know people so that you can kind of, because getting to know people helps you figure out things about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for a while before I got married, I was dating like maybe 4 different women, and it was a great time for me because wasn't having sex with none of them, by the way. Could have, but didn't, because it kind of kept me. And this was even without God. I just kind of made up in my mind that I just understood that sex clouds things, and it gave me a chance.
How mature you do?
Yeah, I'm a mature dude.
Very mature.
So
what age?
That was 25.
Wow, that's very mature for 25.
I'm a deep dude.
Yeah, deep dude.
But
Deep dude.
all that to say, it gave me time to kind of realize, okay, some things about myself. Well, why don't I really like her? But that's always been me. I've always been that personality who's always trying to figure things out. So it's like, why don't I really like her? Or why won't I give her the wifey title? Or why won't, so I've always been that long division type person who wants to break things down and figure things out. And figuring those things out, it kind of just helped me to understand that I like this and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Or I'm willing to deal with this and I'm not willing to deal with that, and then at the end of the day, it was cool. It was just cool getting to know for totally
I kind of did the same thing.
Different
Except it was like 6 different guys, 6 different age. I mean, the age, and I wasn't having sex either. The age range, some were 10 years older than me. One may have been about 15 years older than me. He really wanted to move too fast. And then I met Frank, and I don't know what it was. Well, I do, because he truly was trying to court me. But it was just something, it was a difference with him. I told him, he was like, I'm trying to be a dude or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. I could put you in a rotation because I'm dating about 6 people right now because I'm not being serious about anyone. I'm in school, yada, yada, yada. He was like, we'll see. We'll see about those 6. And like, I guess he the best man to win, I guess. But the truth of the matter is, I did learn a lot because I always thought that I would be with an older man because Frank and I are actually same age. I've always dated older. So I realized that I could date somebody my same age and be compatible, which I never, ever thought that I could because I just...
And I think, too, it's just like anything else. I do the hiring for my job. And there would be times when I'd have a great applicant. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I want to hire her. I want to hire a dude. And then somebody else will come in and they'd be even better than that person.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, nah, it's dude. And then somebody else. So it was almost the same way. And I think at the end of the day, it's always going to come down to like a chapter we're working in the book about just equating marriage to your job. And if you really treated marriage and dating and everything else like you do a job, things will flow much better. So it's almost the same thing as being a hiring manager. I'm just like, I really need to wait to see all the applicants.
Yeah,
and then
before
once
you
I
make
see
a decision.
all of them, now I can make a decision. But truth be told, there have been times where I was like, yo, Shorty's it. She'd be perfect for, this side, or she'd be, and then somebody else come in and they're better. But when you just kind of go with that first instinct and it's like, okay, we went out on the first date. Oh God, I love him. He's the one, and he's my man. Then it's like you missed out on maybe the other people.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're so focused on about, women wanting to say, because we've got a ton of emails in, and we're going to get to some of them emails.
Yeah, we are.
But
we are.
How do I find a man?
Yeah.
How do I find a man? How do I find a man? And I think that's the whole,
that's the problem. You shouldn't be looking for a man.
I mean...
No, Cam.
I mean...
No, you should not be looking for a man.
I don't see no wrong with looking for a man. Why?
You don't?
Why?
Because the man that finds a wife finds a good thing?
Now we're getting biblical. This
of
is
course.
going to go back to... This is great. Our season 2 is working. We just go into the next video. So we will be back talking about, can a woman look for a man? TilDeathInfo.com. Questions, TilDeathInfo@gmail.com. Y'all can do them anonymous. We don't want to know y'all names.
Yeah. It's Dr. Roz.
Your man Kill. TilDeathInfo.com.